NBA Eastern Conference standings. You're taking a look, and please notice the Bucks over here. Just half a game behind the Heat.
Yeah, that's after like Giannis last night put up more than 70 DK fantasy points. Absolutely clutch time scoring against the Nets. What he had, he hit the game-tying three to send it to overtime, and then he sank a couple free throws to actually win it. What is not an April Fool's joke on that graphic was the New York Knicks there at the bottom. They've officially been eliminated from playoff contention.
Yep.
Also, Giannis, this like dad jokes king right now. He's been carrying around this
book of dad jokes.
Yeah,
to
this
his pressers.
Is hilarious. Like the other day, he said, "All right, guys," at his post-game presser after knocking off the Sixers, "I came ready. Let's open up with a joke." He goes, "What do you call a cow on the floor? Anybody know? Do you know?"
No.
Ground beef. All right, anywho, speaking of dads.
But wait, really quick, he also became the Milwaukee Bucks all-time leading scorer.
Oh, kind of important. Kind of important.
Yeah, he broke Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's franchise mark of 14,211, so he scored 44 points on Thursday, moved his total to 14,216. And you mentioned he hit a tying three-pointer with those like 18 seconds left, forced overtime, blah, blah, blah. According to like ESPN stats, it was his first career tying or go-ahead three-pointer in the final 30 seconds of a fourth quarter or overtime ever. So he's just like on top of his game right now. It's unreal.
Well, we are so blessed to have a dad joining us right now. Julian Edlow, DraftKings contributor, and DK Nation's Chinmay Vaidya. Good to see you guys. Jules.
What'd you think of that dad joke?
You're not a big dad joke guy.
Do we have any time left in the segment to talk bets? You guys are rambling.
What?
Listen, this is natural. This is natural conversation.
Okay.
That's just what it is right now. This is what the people crave and want.
You know what, Julian? Fine. We have 10 games on the schedule. So, what's your favorite spread on the board, brat?
Thank you,
horrible
Jesse.
question.
It's a tough 10 game Friday, to be honest. A lot of double digit spreads, a lot of blowout games. Or potential blowout games, and two very meaningful games. The Nuggets short favorites against the Wolves, and the Pelicans short favorites against the Lakers. Honestly, the spot that I'm looking at, the Pistons had a huge win last night against the 76ers. Cade Cunningham has that group playing really well. If they're not resting anybody on the second leg of this back-to-back, OKC is dreadful right now. They're not good to begin with, and they are, resting, tanking all their best players. If the Pistons, want to win some games, they're going to be in the lottery anyway. But if they're going to close out this season winning some games, this should be a spot that they should play really well against the Thunder. So kind of a gross game, but don't mind getting involved in the Pistons if they're at full strength.
All right, Chinmay, what do you think? What's your favorite spread on the board? 10 games to choose from.
The Pistons might be the only team at the bottom of the standings that's not actually trying to tank. So that's a good spot if they don't rest. And this injury report for today is quite crazy. There's a lot of players who are sitting out. There could be some more players sitting out with the Clippers and Bucks. We'll see when they submit their injury report. But I like the Suns, even though it's about 7.5, 8 right now against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are going to sit a lot of players in this game. So I like Phoenix. Cam Johnson's coming back. JaVale McGee is coming back. They should be at full strength, and they should roll quite easily in this one. I also like the Lakers. If LeBron suits up, I would like the Lakers over the Pelicans in that late game. So those are two that I'm looking at, depending on how the injury report plays out, that I like against the spread.
Man, they're 4-14 since the All-Star break. So that's the second worst record in the NBA over that span.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad right now. Jules, I know you're not really in love with totals. You're not really in love with anything because you're just a cranky human being. But any team totals or quarter, like half total bets you like?
Yeah, pretty negative guy, but I'll try and get some positive things out here. But let's start with the negatives. One thing that we can't bet tonight that I've been betting every single time is Grizzlies' first quarter team total. They're an absolute machine, and they bounced back in a big way the other night, coming off an under, only 20 points in the first quarter against a bad Warriors team. But pretty much everyone's doubtful for them tonight. It looks like the Grizzlies are going to punt this game against the Suns. Like we just had reference to, that Suns number has been growing, but still, a pretty good number if the Suns don't rest anybody. So I had some of my followers on Twitter say we got the Grizzlies first quarter team total tonight. Don't bet it. The guys aren't playing. As for one that I do like, another Twitter follower pointed this one out to me. Pacers opponent team total first quarter overs. They have given up over 40 points to their opponent in the first quarter in 3 or 4 in a row. And the one before that, they gave up 37. Celtics coming off a bad home loss. Big game against the Heat for the 1 seed in the East. Celtics first quarter team total 31.5. We'll go over the number there. They should come out hot at home on a Friday night against a non-existent defense of Indiana.
All right, Chinmay, what are you looking at in the totals department?
I think the Bucks and Clippers total, with both teams coming off an overtime game yesterday, the under on that is looking really nice. I don't know how low that total will actually go. It's sitting at about 225 the last time I checked. But if it stays around that mark, I think the under is a good bet there, especially if the Bucks decide to rest some players after that great game against the Nets last night. Another one is Suns Grizzlies. I think that total is sitting at around 230, 229 last time I checked. That's another one where I think the under is in play. So 2 unders for teams that are either coming off, a back-to-back or on the second game of a back-to-back, or a team that just might not have any players for tonight's game.
It's not great to not have any players. Before we go, let's change topics. Take a look at the slate from a DFS angle. So, Chinmay, who's your favorite DFS play tonight in the association?
So if LeBron doesn't play, then I actually do like Russell Westbrook in this game against the Pelicans. It looks like Anthony Davis is going to come back for this one. And Westbrook and Davis, in theory, should work well together if James is not on the floor as that primary ball handler. So Westbrook could be maybe not your high-end option, but a nice middle-price guy. And as far as the Grizzlies go, I think Dylan Brooks is still worth a shot. I think he's around 6,000 right now on DK. And I think that's still a great price point for him, especially given the opportunities that he's going to have. Brandon Clark is another one for the Grizzlies that is looking to get some extended playing time with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson also out. So even though the Grizzlies probably won't win this game or remain competitive, those 2 guys should still be good value on the DFS side.
All right, Jules, who's your favorite DFS play tonight?
Yeah, these slates are crazy, and there's so much value on the board. Like the Grizzlies we just mentioned could be resting their entire starting lineup essentially, so they're going to have some bench guys, even if it's against a good Phoenix team, that you can just plug right in and essentially get any of the top tier guys that you want. So it's that time of year in the NBA. I'll look at Davion Mitchell, though, who's been doing it all for the Kings with both Fox and Sabonis out. He just played against the Rockets, had a pretty good game, gets to play them again. The Rockets are, tanking as hard as you can tank, and they have one of the worst defenses in the NBA. So the Kings, who took Mitchell in the top 10, giving him as much run as possible, as long of a leash as possible. So I think he's in a pretty good spot to have a good game.